hi. I don't know how many people are watching. I don't have a fucking clue. I don't know if there's a lot on Twitch, if there's no one, but welcome to here. If you haven't seen the first Mini-Poicast, that's out. That's a thing that you can find on Abyssal Media Group's channel. What else? I don't know. I don't think we're going to have Lang today. I'm not sure if we're going to have Titan. So there should be a couple Poyos if I can get off of red. But outside of that, let's go to yellow. Okay. So we should be good there. Let's check here. Good, good, good. Damn, this Poicast is fucking dead. Like, dead is dead. I know there's a couple of you watching on Twitch, but holy shit. That's insane. Imagine if the Mini-Poicast format just somehow won out over the Poicast. That'd be wild. Now, I don't have too many topics in comparison to what I've already covered, but while saying that, we're not going to talk about APD like at all. Same with FON, since neither of their leadership are able to attend, which kind of sucks, but it be like that. Today people seem to be just kind of busy in general, and I totally get that. I did try to get a couple other people on here, but we'll see. If any of the staff want to join, they obviously can now that we're in VR chat. So it's easy, just request. We're using my homeworld, the same place as always. It's, what the fuck is this place even called? Treehouse in the Shade, I think. Yeah. Crispy's here. Hi, Crispy. But yeah, I didn't expect too high a viewership anyway this time around, to be fair, since I think most major topics were already covered during the Mini-Poicast. But pretty much everything too important's already been said. So we mentioned how development's going. We mentioned how what's going on in general. We talked about some stuff that's happened over the past couple of months. Talked about some situations briefly. We just kind of did a basic rundown of everything that we've missed or everything that we've been needing to cover over the past little while. So instead of just reiterating points that I've already talked about, if anybody wants to hear about all of that, Mini-Poicast is on Abyssal Media Group's channel. As for stuff that wasn't covered or that needs to be reiterated, I mean, I think I did a pretty good job covering the majority of our development topics, the majority of like what's going on in regards to worlds, projects, so on and so forth. Mainly, we still need to do a lot of stuff for Abyssal Order. That's probably our biggest time sink right now. Hapu Foundation just has some catching up to do when it comes to its to-do list, and we have some stuff that we need to implement. But there's nothing too crazy on that end, so that's pretty nice. Don't know how long it'll take to get through the rest of it, though. I think most of Hapu Foundation's back end right now kind of comes down to world stuff more than anything. APD's situation, we briefly talked about it in the Mini-Poicast, and since I don't have any like super new information, there's no real reason for me to talk about it. So we're gonna largely abstain from APD this Poicast. They're doing good for the most part. I haven't seen anything bad. Looks like they're having fun, doing what they always do. You know, being little Hapu police officers, having fun. Kind of the same deal with FON. It sounds like it's more or less the same deal over there. They're just kind of rebuilding, building up, figuring their deal out. So, not much to really mention there. Abyssal Order is pretty much the same deal, mostly just working on stuff, trying to get documentation, lore, worlds set up. Kind of one thing at a time on that front because it does take quite a bit of time per project. But I think we've made some decent progress recently. It's just mainly back end, so nothing that's necessarily going to be fun or event related, if you know what I mean. What else? During the Mini-Poicast, I briefly talked about our financial situation, how the groups operate in terms of income and expenses. We didn't go into deep dive or anything like that. We just covered the basics about Where does the group's money come from? How does funding work? As previously mentioned during said Mini-Poicast, pretty much all funding comes from me, with the rare exception of occasionally, super rare exception of leadership helping out with an event or something like that, which is super rare. And then for working with VR platforms, we also get a small amount of funding. So from Massive Loop in specific, we do get a small incentive every month, which goes either directly to server costs for Abyssal Order, so bot maintenance like StatBot, Maki, and the rest of that goes into contests or so on and so forth. But we largely operate at a net loss every month, so, not allowing me to join you. It should be open. Yeah, the world should be open. Weird. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the world. It's all in here. It's all set up. It's not blocked or anything, and I'm on yellow. There you go. You know what? I kind of feel like being in my other avatar. I think I have to say the creator and like promote them because it's a thing with the avatar, but this one was made by Shovi. You can find their booth by checking out the name. But I really like this avatar, and I've been really liking wearing it, so I kind of want to wear it for the rest of the podcast. That said, though, it's a fucking good model. I just wish it was customizable, but no, the creator had to make it not easy to modify, so I'm just like a slightly altered version of the base. Hi, Jarno. Welcome to here. Oh, I should probably redo calibration. Oh, that's funky. Oh, Titan is going to join. Give a few minutes. Okay, that's fair. This podcast will probably last like maybe an hour and a half. Hi, Jarno. Are you role playing as Scoot?
Yeah, Scoot is more memory, right?
Yeah. Scoot was always a really good guy. To be fair, I'm pretty sure he kind of hates me, but he was a really nice guy, and I kind of miss him too. I mean, to be fair, a good handful of our former staff fucking hate me, so it kind of makes sense. But it kind of be like that. Yeah. Yeah. He was always cool, though. There's no hard feelings there. I totally get it. 3 hours later. He was cool. It was during all that, like, the first, like, early big drama. Yeah. It's a long time ago now, like 3 years ago. This is crazy.
There's no drama in Hapu.
There's no drama in the Hapu Foundation. It's not real. For one of the like most drama adverse communities, like we do so much to try to avoid it, we still always end up in drama somehow. It is just like natural for Hapus to get themselves into shit.
We do be janky.
That's true. We're God's jankiest creation. If God created us, that is.
Interesting. It's a deep part of lore I've not explored yet.
Yeah.
Abyss created by God.
Imagine. Oh my god. That's a part of the lore I never even considered outside of like... Because the way that abyssals are supposed to work is not too different from basic evolutionary, I guess, boundaries that we'd be used to here. So I guess if God created all life, then technically... Anyway, that's a very random thing that just crossed my mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's interesting, yeah.
He led the early raids when I was a young Poil. I learned a lot from Scoot. Yeah, Scoot was awesome. He was always cool. The main reason why he stepped down, I know we never talked about it, but there was a lot of drama earlier on in the community. And I did some fucky shit, and some fucky shit went down. And yeah, it turned off a lot of early staff. But that was like 3 years ago now. Don't do that, silly. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. Things were different. It was a very different time.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time now.
Yeah, Foundation's been here forever now. That's crazy to think about. Will the other heart emojis count in the sticker contest? So, like, I said this previously, but the whichever heart has the most reactions or is first in the case of like aughts is going to be considered the one to click on. I feel like it's a super common sense kind of thing, in my opinion, to be fair, because like whichever one has the most reactions and is a red heart should kind of just be defaulted as the one to click. Now, when we do that in the future, we'll stick to how we used to do contests. It's a lot simpler and a lot better. The reason we didn't do it this time is because I've been sitting on the contests for a long time and I was super unsure if we should do them in the first place. So I kind of just rushed it and didn't do the normal process. But yeah, only one is supposed to count, but whichever heart has the most votes is going to be the one that's counted. Additional emojis do not count as votes, as there's obvious repetition and revoting if you do that, which doesn't make any sense. That was actually asked by like 4 or 5 of you if all of the extra votes, like the emotes, counted. Of fucking course not, they don't. But I get it. I totally get the need for clarification sometimes. So if you ever need to ask something, feel free to ask. Just keep in mind it's normally the common sense option that's going to be the solution. But yeah. Ancient history, yeah, you're right, it is. In the future, it's probably best to restrict adding. Well, in the future, it's not reaction based. The way that voting is supposed to be done for those kind of things is through an anonymous system. That way, there's no like, I kind of feel a little iffy voting for this guy over this guy, or I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, you know? So it's the same way that staff votes are supposed to be done. It's just the process itself adds an extra couple of steps, which makes it kind of a pain in the ass. So that's why it's not always followed. It's not always necessary either, but our baseline for stuff like that is almost always going to be a anonymous voting system. So I guess that brings up another question. We brought this up in the staff meetings the other day. So the next 2 events after these 2 will probably do not based in USD. We'll probably host them using Massive Loop's currency since I have quite a bit of it. The way that works, Massive Loop's credits directly convert 1-to-1 to USD. So all you have to do is sign up for their MLCN and then you can withdraw money through Stripe. So it's a couple extra steps.
It's not actually simple.
It's not that simple. It's a couple extra steps. But it's not as simple as like being sent like PayPal.
If you're outside of America, it's quite hard.
If you're, you know what, that's true.
European, it is super hard for me.
That's true. I didn't actually think about that.
I need to get an actual American text identification ID. You have to form like a W7 form, and for that need another form, a W8 form, and I need to get registered with the IRS basically.
How does that work for a European?
Outside of America? Well, terrible basically. So yeah, I basically have to get registered with a form as an external tax identification number basically. So I had to fill in a form, and for that I need another form. I need like a W7, a W8 form or something like that.
You need a, yeah, you need
to get
a
all filled in, and you need to also get your valid ID, of course, when you submit a document. So you have to submit either your passport with it, which of course you can't just send over to the seas. But you also can't just fly there and register it, so it was just too much of a hassle for me. In the end, I gave up on going through the process. I'm like, whatever.
I wonder. I figured it would be easier for... Okay, if that's the case, then maybe we'll rethink the next contest a little bit. Because for Americans, the process is fairly simple in my opinion. But if you're European or outside of the US, you might kind of not have a good time. I didn't think about that. That's a good point to bring up. So we might... I'll think about that one for a minute. I mean, yeah, it's still free money regardless, but the process for European people or people outside of the US might be more complicated than I'm thinking it is. Because I've only done it through US process, so it was all fairly typical for me. But that brought up does bring some questions. I'll ask about how this situation with MLCN works, because my wallet on Massive Loop has almost $1,000 worth of credits in it now, from a mixture of from a mixture of hosting events and winning certain events, and also some of it from a server funding. So the main intention for ML credits on my account and not spending them is to give back to the community. That way it can be used as an incentive to not only, you know, create avatars for Massive Loop or attend events. It's just supposed to be a way to also give back to the community who actively wants to help out over there. But that's a pretty good point. So I'll look into the process a little bit more. If it's not super simple, then we'll transfer ML credits to USD, and then we'll do it through PayPal. And then we'll just have it be kind of like a partner kind of deal, maybe. That way they still get some advertising, even though it's based in their currency. But we'll figure that out. I'm not sure what we'll do for sure there. But we'll touch base back on that probably in a week or two, not on the next Poicast. But yeah, so we'll figure that process out a little bit, but I've been wanting to give back to the community, and that's kind of a really good way to do it, since I have so much sitting there that's been waiting to be used in contests or in events. So no one here maybe. Yeah, to be fair, something like that's going to end up looking kind of like VRChat's currency or Robux. It's going to be one of those things where if you're in tune with the platform and you have a lot of reasoning to actually want it or to use it, then it makes sense. But something that I also brought up during the Mini-Poicast is that we're not going to be advertising Massive Loop as much or talking about them as much. Now, since this is the first Poicast properly in a little while, since we've been a little inconsistent and we've had a lot going on, I feel like it's fair to bring it up, but I know it turns off a lot of people. It's not something that needs to be like constantly reinforced. Events don't need to be like brought up all the time. I totally get it. We're based in VRChat. Our communities outside of Abyssal Order are VRChat based groups. Don't get me wrong, we've explored other platforms like CVR or Neos, Resonant. I could list more because I've personally explored almost every VR social platform that exists, but it makes sense. Our user base is based here, and you know. But that said, hi Titan, welcome to here. Let's see, what was my phone doing?
Welcome.
Oh, it's Google. Fucking Google.
Don't be mad at Google. Google's nice.
But I guess last stuff on Massive Loop, because I want to wrap up that topic a little bit. So like I said, we're not going to advertise them as much in the main servers. We're still going to be doing stuff in Abyssal Order whenever we have the ability to do so. But a part of it is also I'm probably going to be working with Massive Loop a lot more, a lot closer in certain ways going forward as well. So there's also kind of a need to draw a little bit of distance between certain things too, because I'm not only going to potentially be representing our communities, I might be potentially representing them in a higher capacity. Now, I'm not going to talk specifics or anything, of course, but I'm going to spend a lot more time over there by the looks of it. And I don't want to influence Hapu Foundation or APD a lot by, you know. So I'll try to keep a good amount of distance. We're not going to mention their activities or events as much as we have, and they'll still get talked about on the Poicast, but not anywhere near as much. While saying that though, the relationship with the platform's good. We've been helping them out a lot. Things are pretty solid overall. It's just, I get it. Our groups are based in VRChat. Massive Loop still has a lot of work to be done. So, you know, the requests of maybe tone it down a little bit has been heard. What else? Trying to think anything else on those topics that need to be brought up real quick. Nothing's coming to mind. You're golden. Wait. Oh, it's inverted.
Ja, something golden.
Fuck, the camera is inverted. Damn it. I went over there to look at... Son of a bitch.
I mean, I'm also yellow. I'm
You
almost
are...
golden.
You are kind of a little...
Yeah.
A little bit. So, let's see. Are there any topics?
Is better.
If people are interested in joining the events team /Jester, drop me a DM. Yeah, if anybody's interested in Jesters /events team for Foundation, you can hit up Sky. We'll let Titan talk in a second. Is there anything? So we brought up a few other things. I'll just go through them real quick. Poimotion system is going to be reworked one last time. I'm kind of seeing this as the final iteration of the automated Poimotion system and the manual Poimotion system. Assuming the votes go well, we should have 3 more seniority roles to fill in the gaps. That way, the way that a system like that's supposed to work, you're supposed to have longevity built into it. So that way, the first role, the second role, it's not super hard. It's going to be relatively easy for people to get. That way, it builds a little bit of engagement with them. So a lot of things that kind of go wrong early on for a lot of new Hapus, I noticed, especially like way earlier in our existence, was people would be interacting a lot, or they'd be attending events, but they wouldn't, get promoted to Hapu or whatever, the next role up. And something as small as that dissuades some people. And it happens enough to where, I tried to rework the system once and it still wasn't really great. But I think we've got it worked out now to where with the additional roles, we can have the build-up be the way that it should be, along with a decent middle ground and then a decent build-up toward the latter roles, the end roles. It's not supposed to have any, power in the servers or anything, obviously. They're just, activity engagement-based roles. But for some reason, they mean a lot to people, at least some, and I totally get why to some regard. Having a couple more in the system means that we get to keep longevity and fairness, so I think the roles might be up in the server right now. If they're not already in the server itself, then they will be when I'm ready to put the votes out. But yeah, I want the system to be fair for everyone, and I want it to also be engaging early on and not be repetitive or too hard later, so hopefully the rework is the last time I have to touch it. We'll probably also do some legendary promotions too next time. I got a couple names in mind, but we'll talk about that more in leadership before we decide. But I can think of a few people who fit the title for legendary and a few people who fit the title for the new second highest role. So we'll figure it out. Any other topics?
Can you spoil the names?
You know what?
Can you spoil the name?
Spoil the name. Let me pull them up real quick so I don't get them mixed up with Abyssal Orders. Let's see. Are they in here already? They're not. Is Creately open? I mentioned it in the Mini-Poicast, but I use Creately for a lot of what I do. It's very nice for writing things out. Where the fuck is Creately? Oh no. Oh, it's on Chrome. 39 tabs, restore window, Creately. I'm sorry, Twitch stream. I didn't mean to turn Film Theory on. We'll let Titan go after we figure out the names real quick. Creately's taking a minute. Oh, that's why it's taking a minute. But yeah, if anybody's ever used Creately before, it's basically like a workflow / organization service. You use it to you can plan stuff out, or you can use it to make graphs and, oh Jesus, graphs and nodes. Oh, I'm on the wrong account. That's why I can't find anything. I'm kind of stupid. Let's log into Abyssal Ecosystem. All right, well, I'll do this for a minute. Titan, you want to talk about stuff while I figure this out?
Sure.
If not, it is
hi,
okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Wait, do we talk through the stream or do we talk through the VC or both?
I mean, the stream is fine since there's only 2 people on Discord right now.
True. All right. Hi. Hello. I am Titan. I am the leader of the maybe known, maybe not so known to some of y'all splinter community from the Foundation called the Fellowship of Null. We work kind of like how the APD does when it comes to relationship with the Foundation and also to the APD, so we're the third. I'd say in the last like 2 months we've made some pretty significant leaps and bounds in progression to becoming a more serious full-on community in the aspects of at least Hapu type communities. We're running regular events now. We're starting to run more cross-community events. So I'm not sure if any of y'all who were there for that one was there, but we did a very janky one on Friday on the find slot where we kind of joined in on y'all's game day and Ubered around a little bit. That one was a little janky, I'd say, just a little bit. So we're still pretty early in development. We're working on making our own homeworld right now, moving away from one that's pretty laggy for Quest users. So we gotta make a new one. We're working on that now. That should be done at latest by the end of the month, ideally much sooner than that. But yeah. I'd like to say we're open for business. Our link is in the same area as the other sister communities.
Hell yeah.
Just lots of progress. Our events are becoming a lot more regular now, so if you're interested, come check a look. I never actually said what we are compared to them. We play off the idea of what people constantly call the Foundation, or they constantly call us in the Foundation a cult. We kind of play off that idea, and so all of our avatars, we'll switch into one now, kind of play off that idea, and we're gonna be little janky like cartoonish cult creatures, so to say.
Nice.
And yeah, doing some jank like that, doing rituals or like kidnapping a police officer because we got a little bit of beef with them roleplay wise, that kind of stuff.
That
And
sounds cool.
a little extra plug. Thank you to everybody. If anyone who is helping watching this, thank you to everyone who is helping out with. It's like Key Bunny who made this avatar and our logo, and many other avatar creators and my staff team as well. I just want to put that out there. I am really grateful for everybody who's helping out with this.
Hell yeah.
Nice, yeah.
I'd
I'm glad
say
you gave some
hell yeah
introduction
all
about
around.
this, because really, I didn't see it actually. You brought up the FON. I'm like, what is the FON? You know?
Yeah,
So I heard about it, like,
realized-
what is this?
I realized our link just kind of popped in sister communities one day without an announcement or anything. So maybe that should be done at some point, saying, "Hey, this exists," so more people are
If you
aware.
want to write up a basic bio for it, I can.
Alrighty, I'll get working on that. I have some other stuff to like. I'm working on a world tonight as well.
Yeah,
Been pretty busy all weekend with it, so
I feel
I'll get
that.
something over to you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I can put out a ping. The sister communities are supposed to all have a bio anyway.
Alrighty.
It's just something that never got finished because one annoying part about communities, there's a lot of like small little things that can fall through the gaps that just don't really get reconsidered too often, and that's definitely going to be one of them because I think APDs needs. Does APD even have a like proper one? I don't remember. I don't think it does.
I know when we first moved the FON's thing to a community Discord, I wrote up a small description for Discord, but I don't think anything in that regard.
I don't remember it, but you might have. I think I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have a server description.
Yeah, I do have. Where'd it go? I got the names for you guys. So the new system,
Nice.
assuming it
Cool.
gets voted into being a thing, which it probably will, there's no reason it wouldn't. It would go legendary, then ascendant, then ancient, then venerable, then elder, then zealot, then member, then initiate, then hatchling, then foundling. That's how the role order would work for seniority. So the first couple would be relatively easy to gain. That's based off of the stats of every user who's ever interacted in the server. So all of the values, all of the prerequisites for the roles are updated based on every single member who has ever interacted in the server. Now, there had to be a little bit of leeway with those stats since obviously not everybody interacts, so there's a little finagling there. But the first couple of roles should make a lot more sense in terms of achievability, and you'll see people who just joined that are super active probably get up 1 or 2 roles, but that's kind of expected. Past that, it'll be a lot harder. But that should eliminate a lot of the issues that we've had around the Poimotion system, and having it be maybe once every month and a half to 2 months should help out too. So we will do some legendary promotions more likely than not, but I'm not going to confirm it. And then for Ascendant, there's going to be at least maybe 3 or 4. So Ascendant is basically legendary mini, at least in terms of how hard it is to get. So you could think of that as like a runner-up role to legendary. But since legend is meant for very specific prerequisites, you know, that one's generally pretty hard to get. It's also pretty hard to lose too, but it kind of be like that. So when it comes to roles and all that stuff, that's what we got going on there. I can't think of anything too much to bring up, but it's cool to hear about FON and what's going on. Cool to see a new model come out of it and to be a little more culty. So that's cool. Hell yeah. Let's see, I could use a sip of water.
Even got a flag.
Let's see, do we have any topics?
Does it make sense to explain the relation of FON towards the Whiteclads, or or leave it secret?
Huh?
Like we had some other roleplay groups like the Whiteclads before.
It's the same thing.
The FON is the Whiteclad, but we just changed our name.
Yeah, I mean, that's maybe I want to enter on there. I don't know. I want to maybe
True.
into
Realistically, when we were the Whiteclad name, we were pretty privated, still in development.
But yeah, Whiteclad is FON. It's the same group for anyone who may not be aware. Since this is planned to be the second public video on Abyssal Media Group's channel, it's fair to bring up. And I do also plan on editing this one in comparison to the last ones. Now, I know I've said that multiple times in the past. I have fairly decent reasoning for not doing it, but now that we're kind of more stable and we have a better idea of, you know, where we're going to be going in certain regards, I'm a lot more content having these things archived on the internet. So we'll edit some clips out of this one to upload them, but we will have a bigger media presence, which is, I guess, something that we can segue into. So we're not going to do a vote on it. I talked about it already, but Sai's going to be made the overlord of Abyssal Media Group. The reasoning there's no vote is because the role itself is split between all of our groups. It'd kind of be stupid to do a vote for all of our groups. But since it's a more organizational position that's going to be helping out with media for all of the groups, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense for them to be the person to do it, and it also makes sense to do it in that way too. But I'm gonna wait until tomorrow before I finish setting up the social media situation, but we will go through with the management app that I've brought up in the past. That's for a couple of reasons, but one of the main deciding factors that kind of pushed my hand on that subject, I was told a story about a friendly community. I'm not gonna go into specifics of who, but they're good friends of ours. We've hung out with them a lot, and basically some funky stuff happened. One of their former leaders kind of hijacked their social media, their YouTube channel. And hearing about all that stuff kind of made me go like, you know, I trust all of the people involved in our process to that level. Like, I trust everyone there. But that's also tens of thousands of followers and subscribers they lost by one of their most trusted members of leadership. So I'm kind of over here like, I'm just going to take that extra precaution, even if it's expensive or costs a little bit more. It's worth it, in my opinion, just to have the peace of mind, you know? So it's not that I don't trust anyone, it's that I have plenty of examples of people who are absolutely trustworthy fucking over everyone. So, you know. But yeah, so Abyssal Media Group will also talk about the social media situation. Abyssal Ecosystem is supposed to be the overarching organization that bounds all of our groups together, but it doesn't need to be our social media presence, to be fair. That can just be the organizational back end. Since we're not making a company or making an actual nonprofit organization, there's no need for that to be as prevalent as it is. Now, we had those considerations of doing a nonprofit organization, as mentioned in the Mini-Poicast. Obviously, that wouldn't work out, and there would be a lot of issues involved in the process, not only from an ideological standpoint, but we already don't make money off the projects, and we never intended to. It would just end up costing me a shitload more money. So the whole thing isn't worth it, especially when you consider how we would be categorized along with the new issues that we would encounter. As much as I want more protections for both our communities and myself, we just wanted to look at it, see, what the deal was. Not something that we would ever actually go through with or adopt. Now, having the communities be represented by an overarching organization makes sense, even if it's from a non-official or legal standpoint, which is why we were going through with Abyssal Ecosystem as a baseline. Now, I still want that to be a part of everything, but it doesn't need to be our social media. So Abyssal Media Group will take over our social media in terms of naming. So the Twitter, the fucking all that shit will be renamed to Abyssal Media Group. Abyssal Ecosystem will still exist as a general organization that our communities fall under, but it's not gonna be as big of a deal as I wanted it to be or had planned for. So just wanted to clarify all that stuff since it was brought up, and since I do plan on editing clips out of this, I thought it'd be good to include that. But yeah, so there's all that stuff. Of course, we never want to make money, and I look at my pocket while saying that, and I'm like, fuck. But yeah, we all do this for fun. It's all supposed to be a passion project, and in the end, I never want to make any money off the groups. I'm okay with losing a couple $100 a month. That's a-okay in my book.
But you can also aim at making even, equal spending. Sometimes
yeah,
a little bit so you spend more.
There is a little bit of offset, and that. So when it comes to spending in general, I've already brought up what our main costs are in the Mini-Poicast, but we do have a little bit of cost offsetting already. Working with Massive Loop helps out a little bit in terms of monthly cost, since they have helped us out a little bit, but it's not enough to make an actual middle ground dent. It's still putting me in the negative, but that's okay. We'll make the costs a little bit better.
You could sell merchandise, right?
No, we're not selling
T-shirts.
No.
Operation drinking mug sniffing. Yeah.
No, one of our biggest things is to never sell merchandise, never make money off the groups. Now, we can, obviously, we own the rights to a lot of our stuff, and we can do that, but we're never going to do that. Something that I personally never want to do, and that's something that the majority of our staff also don't want to do. It's a passion project for everyone, ultimately. And as I clarified in the Mini-Poicast, any times that we've made clothing or merchandise, it's always been one-offs, just personal stuff for ourselves. In my living room, I've got 3 or 4 Hapu Foundation hoodies, but that's stuff that I would give away, not stuff that I would sell. So no matter what, we never want to make any money off of any of this. We never want to profit from the Hapus or exploit them. First thing I see is furry ass. Hi, Sai.
I've been
no.
Heavily considering swapping my current desk size mouse mat out with a hopper one, because I could just get one off Amazon.
Yeah. There's always the option.
Just insert the JPEG.
Yeah.
And they'll send it me.
Now, obviously, there's always the option. We could have always sold merchandise to offset costs, but one of our biggest ideological tenets is to not make money off the groups. That's why I'm the main person who puts money in, and why very rarely I've let anybody else get involved. The only exception to money coming into the groups has been Massive Loop helping us out, but that's also because we actively help them out in a lot of ways. So that it's kind of, it's a fair deal. But while saying that, I don't want to make money off the groups. I'm okay with operating at a loss, but we will eventually get the costs down to where it's not as big of a problem.
But I don't think you have never intention to make money off it. Now I understand that you're not here to make a big business endeavor here, but there's only some money by selling merchandise as long as you put it back into the community, right?
That's true. That, right? You know what? In that regard, that's true. And we did talk about that as a possibility before. Now, in doing something like that, we would have to set up our financial situation a little bit differently, and we'd have to have clearer lines of communication where all the money goes. So it technically skirts the ideological issue. It's possible. It's still not something I want to do, but it's there. It's a possibility. But I totally get what you mean. It technically circumvents the issue. But if we ever come down to it and we absolutely had to, I still probably wouldn't, but it's a good idea, to be fair. Let me read up on chat real quick. Hi, Sai. Welcome to here.
Hello.
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 Sai is here.
The last promotion was beginning of April? Oh.
No, you're not.
Yeah, April 11th, if I remember correctly.
It makes perfect sense to protect the community, the important community assets, heck, not just for the given reasons, for the reasons given, but also in case of personal accounts were compromised or something. I know that's going back a little bit, but I just saw that. Yeah, so having something like a company or an organization specifically dedicated to that makes a lot of sense, but it's something that other communities have done in the past, and there are a couple of companies that you would not know exist that relate to VR chat communities. It's only a handful. There's only a few out there that do it, but it is common enough to where it's a thing. And in the real world, it's also pretty common too. Now, that opens the door for a lot of other issues as well, and then that puts the communities also under a legal banner that it doesn't necessarily need to. So it makes total sense to do from every perspective, but at the same time, there's a lot of cans of worms that get open that cause its own problems. So it was a good idea to explore, but it's something that we were realistically probably never going to go through. We own the rights to a lot of what we do, so obviously that wouldn't be a problem, but it's one of those things. But I'll drop the topic for now. You guys got all you needed to hear about it. What else? No boops. That's fair. Do we have any other topics?
Are evil.
Boops are evil. Do we have any other topics that are coming to mind?
I like them.
I'm dead.
I mentioned in there, will there be a similar role to the Abyssal Admiral role for FON in this Discord Foundation one?
So that's a fair question, actually, because I've been working on the back end of Leadership's Discord a little bit. So originally, the prerequisites that I had in place before we made Abyssal Order or FON's leadership, at least on the same tier as everybody else, would have been if we promoted 2 people to Abyssal Order's leadership. Because no matter what, in that circumstance, it's only fair to involve everybody. But we also needed to see that FON was also, moving around, had stuff going on, and that it was making progress independent on its own. Since obviously we have APD, we have FON, we have AO, which is a lot of shit. So moving people around, making sure that everything's fair in that regard is hard. But yes, so assuming we bring people into AO regardless of that, there will still be a leadership role for FON in the communities. Now, originally it was supposed to all be combined under one umbrella, which it still might be. By lore, all of the community's leadership are leaders of houses, or kingdoms as we're calling them now, which then make up the Abyssal Senate, which is essentially the baseline for the communal votes and so on and so forth. It's a lot of interconnecting shit together from a written and an actuality perspective, but yeah. So
the Abyssal King.
I mean, the Emperor. I'm sorry, but the role's already taken. So originally it was supposed to be a house system, kind of similar to Dune, but we decided kingdoms made more sense, even though it's the same exact fucking thing. So, anyway. But yeah, FON will have we'll get you into the leadership, probably not in the next couple of days, but I've been working on the leadership Discord. That way we can involve FON's leadership, and then we could also, if AO gets leadership of its own, eventually involve them too. But, there's been movement for both communities, but specifically FON's been getting a lot more done. So it makes sense, and, it'd be good to have done finally. So yeah, on the note of Abyssal Order, we're still not planning on having any leaders outside of Lang and I. Technically, all of the community leaders are leaders of that group, but if we do have people that we think would fit, then they would be Imperators. That's the role that we came up for leadership of AO. It's a Roman general title, to be fair, so it's not the most fitting, but it made sense in my mind, so we called it Imperator. AO is Abyssal Order, Bess. But yeah, now that FON's got some movement and that things are going on, I'd feel a little more comfortable bringing them into the leadership Discord and moving a little bit more on that. And then for AO, it's one of those things that when stuff happens, it happens. So, But yeah, once I get the Discord finished, I'll chuck you an invite, but I still need to rework a couple of channels, and then I need to add your section too, so it'll probably be a few days before I got it done. But yeah, I'll chuck you an invite.
Fair. Alrighty.
And then what else? Are there any other topics that I'm forgetting? I'm very tired. I am always tired.
I came here with clear intent, too late, because Agent literally just left like 10 minutes ago, and I already forgot what I wanted to bring. God damn it.
I feel that, honestly. It's felt.
Yes, understandable.
Well, I guess I'll go on a tangent. Let me take a hit, and we'll try to go fast. So we talked about this in the Mini-Poicast, but Project Community, the booth submission timeline is less than 2 weeks, or it is exactly 2 weeks, one or the other, I don't remember. So the communities, Hapu Foundation and APD will have booths. We will not be advertising ourselves outside of the booths. So that means we're not going to be participating in any of their official advertisements or any of that material. But we will have a booth for Hapu Foundation. We will have a booth for APD. And I was originally going to have them be communal projects, as in have the communities help out and make them. With the deadline being so soon, I might involve staff, but there's a pretty high likelihood that I'll just end up making them myself, kind of like the last few times. We'll see, but the deadline for that came in kind of fast. I'm going to be real with you. Like, I thought we would have a little bit more time to make the booths. They gave us a very short notice. So I'm kind of sitting over here
like last time. I remember how it went last time.
Yeah, dude, fucking for VRCon, one of our booths, I grabbed an MS Paint font. It was called MS Paint, and it was, I made it crayons, like kids were drawing all over the booth. And it was great. It's the best way to represent an organization.
The booth we had.
They were good booths.
VRCon, it was before Gatherers were a thing. It was the events team.
Oh yeah.
Before
Indeed.
Gatherers, that was.
I still remember that one.
I
God.
think the other one was also hacked in together in like a week, I think. There's some pictures together thrown away. No, a weekend, right? I think you also did it in 1 weekend.
I did it in
You
like
threw
a
the
week,
pictures
yeah.
together.
No, it was like, a weekend, not even a week. It was like 2 or 3 days. You're right. Oh no. So we do have a little wording, but yeah, 2 to 3 weeks is not long enough, in my opinion, if you're going to be a community involving your community. But granted, most people are going to have their developers or their leadership do it. So that's fair enough. I get it. But I would have loved to involve the community in it. That's just not enough time to organize stuff. So if staff doesn't end up helping out, I'll at least reach out to some people and get some help with it. But yeah, so we will do some events around Project Community. We're not going to host any for them. That was something that I didn't want to do. And we will interact with a couple of communities. We have been talking to a few groups. There we go. I've been needing to burp for 5 minutes. Holy shit. So we will do some cross-communal events. APD will probably end up interacting with the LPD at some point. We've been talking about doing some stuff for a little bit. Nothing's been finalized yet, but you know, they're probably the only community that we've consistently interacted with over the past 4 years. So it makes sense to see some of our Hapu officers with their officers. I instantly went for Hapu officers because we all know that anytime we interact, they get converted. But, you know.
We also have a dance off every single time we interact with them.
That's true. We always have dance offs with the
That's
LPD.
And we always win too.
I'm dead.
I find it interesting how you say like the only community we interacted with for 4 years.
Dead.
Then at the same time you repay them by creating your own community to replace them. Like...
To be fair, the APD and the LPD are very different in every way, shape, and form, but you're not wrong. That's funny. God. But yeah, so we'll probably end up doing stuff with them. I've been talking back and forth a little bit here and there, but they're the only community that we're like really willing to interact with. So hopefully things go good there. We have been talking with a couple other groups that we used to hang out with, but I don't know. We're going to end up doing stuff regardless. I don't know what specifically, but APD's probably going to do some stuff with them, and Hapu Foundation will probably interact with some of the older groups that we used to hang out with. I don't want to set anything in stone because we haven't 100% finalized any details. But to be fair, normally whenever we start talking about stuff like this, it ends up happening. So, you know, but Project Community is going to be fun, man. I'm interested to see how it goes. Obviously, there's a lot of communities involved, and some of them are old friends of ours. Some of them could choke on a bottle of soap, and I couldn't care less about. But it's going to be like that. So hopefully we have a good time. Hopefully everybody else has a good time. And I don't think there are going to be any problems. I know there are a couple Hapu communities who are going to be attending this year. If there are any issues that end up getting raised, then we're just going to go to Project Community staff and deal with it. We're going to have a no bullshit tolerance policy when it comes to other communities this time around. So let it be warned, if anybody fucks with us, we're going to make a scene about it, and it's going to be a big deal. Whether you're a Hapu group or otherwise, this time around, we're not going to be quiet when people piss us off. So just keep that in mind. Every time that we've done VRCon... I mean, yeah, it goes the other way around too, but to be fair, we normally don't piss off other groups.
Last time I had a very funny boot that could drop on top of the other person's boot.
I'm dead.
That was great.
That's
we had
funny.
an avatar version of our booth. It was hilarious.
Bro.
Basically, the avatar of our current boot, all the text is on it. I can place it basically anywhere in the world with world constraint. So I was listening to the editor and I was tweaking a bit until I exactly dropped on top of their own of the other groups their boot. Replacing the textures.
It was so funny to see.
They were not happy about that, but it was a fun joke.
That's so fucking funny. When is it? I see that's being asked a little bit. Let me double check real quick so I don't give you guys the wrong date. I'm gonna fucking jump off a cliff. Where is it? This year's Project Fest
Please
will be a
don't.
week-long event.
gonna be
Takes
difficult
place
here.
June 28th
Like,
through July
no
8th.
clips.
So it looks like it's June 28th
Well,
through
you
July
can
8th.
jump off the roof.
No cliff. Doesn't count.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
So June 28th through July 8th is when it's going to be going on. Obviously, we will have events centered around our booths. We'll man our booths, all that same kind of jazz. I think it'll be a really good time. Most of the time that we've done stuff like this, it's been pretty good. We didn't really talk about too many of our problems with VRCon, but to be fair, we did kind of have a fair amount of issues with VRCon, both the first and second time that we went. We didn't make any of those issues public, but we had a lot of problems with other Hapu groups giving us shit, harassing our booths. In general, that wasn't really cool, but yeah. So outside of that, we had some other issues with VRCon, and obviously that's not a thing anymore. It imploded. It was always fun to do, and I loved hanging out with all of the groups and communities that interacted, and it's a shame to see it go, but I'm glad that Project Community's doing it again, and that they're, you know, taking up the reins, so to say. It's really nice to have all of the groups have a place that they can kind of intermingle, hang out, learn about each other. It's an idea that I really like, but that'll be cool, and it'll definitely be a lot of fun. Didn't one of us have an avatar that accidentally controlled the world's sun? What the fuck? Why are these things coming out now? I don't remember any of this.
Sepha had an avatar that, for some odd reason, could change the location of the world's sun, and it would
Oh my
actually
god.
make things look weird.
Actually changed the lighting as well, because it really was, it was really funny how it works.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
That's some funny shit. I'm dead. How have I not seen
I still have
that?
it on recording somewhere. I have it on recording somewhere.
I think it still works now if you go to the world next to the avatar.
No, they fixed that. They fixed that.
I did? Ah, yeah, too bad.
Yeah.
Wait, now that I think about it, what the fuck do I call the clips from the Poicast, since the Mini-Poicast is a different format? Because I'm gonna combine them.
Poicast.
Macro-Poicast.
Poicast, Mini-Poicast.
Okay, hold on. I like the idea of Macro-Poicast. That's kind of cursed, but it's also really fitting.
Eopcast. Eopcast.
Oh no.
Yopcast.
Oh, okay. So we have the Poicast, we have the Mini-Poicast. So then I guess it makes sense to have the Macro-Poicast. Biggie Poicast. Yep. God damn it.
Oh my god. You also, by the way, if you are going for Macro-Poicast, I expect you to use that U symbol.
The
micro symbol.
God damn it. You're gonna have to send me that symbol. Oh my god, I don't know which one it is.
Sure.
That's funny.
It's that strange U thingy.
3 versions of the
Macro,
fucking
lowercase
Poicast.
omega? Or is that nano?
Yeah, it is. I think it was actually.
So I guess we have the name for the clip version of the Poicast now. That means 3 shows dedicated to the Poicast. Oh my god. At least, well, I guess it makes sense because this is how we generally keep the community up to date. So I guess it makes sense. Let's see. Do we have any other topics that we need to bring up or discuss? I'm trying to think of what else. I just hear my dogs in the background begging to watch me in VR. I don't know why, but like they love to watch me record or stream whenever I'm in VR. So I've been letting them hang out in my room. And you'll just fucking see both of my dogs staring at me while I'm just pacing around in VR. And it's the weirdest shit. He's crying right now.
Like, the fuck is he doing?
It's literally what he
What's he doing?
does. He will look at me like, what is this weird hairless ape doing? Why is there a thing on his head?
Oh, he should put the VR headset on his head and take a picture.
I see, would FON be able to do things, or Prob's not this time? I mean, FON can do like events around it, but they're not going to have a booth. They wouldn't have qualified. Neither would Abyssal Order. The qualifications for a booth or to participate are kind of a little iffy, but APD is big enough to where it kind of stands on its own in that regard. It fit all of the requirements for VRCon. So there was no reason for them to deny it this time. But I did have to go through a little bit of an extra process to make sure that both communities would be involved. And in the future, if FON is prominent enough, then that's always an option. But they would have been outright denied. So that's kind of just where that fell. But yeah, once they're over 500 members and it's more active, then they would probably fit the requirements for that. But yeah.
Nog een beetje een avatar, just dump it somewhere. It's your own book.
To be fair, yeah.
Even if we could qualify, I probably wouldn't have anyway, because I don't want to divert what we're working on now.
Yeah, I get that. I was kind of 50-50 about involving APD too. It was one of those things where it was like, I'm not even sure if I want to bring in Hapu Foundation, because VRCon kind of rubbed me the wrong way a few too many times. So I'll talk about VRCon briefly. Most of the issues that we had with them just came from the back end. It came from how things were set up and what was going on. It was kind of just a dysfunctional mess in a lot of ways. And we had a couple more than a few issues when it came to events with them. It was always cool getting to hang out, but from a community leader's perspective, it was it was difficult to want to do them, and it was difficult to do them, in my opinion. Now, Project Community's been a little bit better about everything. They haven't been as funky in terms of communication, and they haven't been as funky in terms of like events or activities. But again, no shade and no problems to VRCon. I like the majority of the people involved. It's just from an organizational standpoint, I don't know if we would have worked with them again. So for Project Community to take up the reins and to be doing it's nice because we don't have any issues with them. There's no predisposition or problems. So the only issue that I would outright say with Project Community is probably communication. And I think that's probably it. Otherwise, they've been really cool. Everybody's been really nice. The staff involved have been nice. So I think they're going to do a good job, and I think it's going to be a really fun event. I think there's a lot of communities involved, and it's going to be really hard for them to manage and maintain everything that's going on. But I think they learned a lot from VRCon, and I don't think they're going to make the same mistakes. And to be fair, they haven't pissed me off at all, which is a step up. So again, but yeah. So I think it'll be cool to do stuff with them. I don't know what they're doing as their normal events. They're going to be doing some stuff. They're going to be hosting different events. I don't know what exactly because I opted out of us hosting any or being involved in most of them. So, what kind of events? What do you mean? What is that in context to? But yeah, so again, no shade towards VRCon or anyone involved. I was friends with a lot of people, both in staff, higher staff, development, so on and so forth. Just as organizations, it was kind of a little too janky for us. But I think Project Community's got their shit together, even if I do have a few complaints about communication. What kind of events would would FON be able to do? I mean, it depends. You could realistically, if you wanted to, you could try to do some activities in the booth world itself, but just common sense stuff. Don't do anything that's, disruptive or problematic. If you want to do a casual hangout event, or if you want to try to do a normal event, you could. Just keep in mind common sense. We're all there to have fun, We don't want to cause any problems with them. We don't want to piss anybody off, because ultimately, stuff like what Project Community does, the reason that we attend them, we don't want advertising. We don't want to, put ourselves out there. We're very isolated and keep to ourselves kind of people, kind of groups. But it brings the communities together. It brings all of the groups to a place where we can all interact and learn with each other and learn about each other. It's a way for the groups to all intermingle and not only learn from each other, but have fun. Because think about when we would do VRCon. Like the APD, when it was still the HFPD, we protected President Kennedy with the LPD. We went around the world keeping John F. Kennedy safe with the LPD while he went around the booths doing a tour, fucking inspecting all of them, talking about them, doing his little presidential bullshit. It was amazing. Like, stuff like that only really happens in those kinds of environments. So I definitely appreciate them for allowing those kinds of things to happen, because without them, you really wouldn't have the common ground for communities to interact like that. Because people like us, people like the LPD and so on and so forth, the reason I bring them up is because we have similar policies on how we interact with other groups in public worlds. They're very similar in regards to, giving up a world if somebody's already established there and so on and so forth. They're very similar in their baseline. And that's kind of something that goes over with Project Community too. We just want to have fun. We want everything to be, a good middle ground. We don't want to overextend ourselves by, rating it over and over again. We want to just have fun with it. So, common sense, enjoy yourselves, don't overdo it, and, be nice to people. We're all there for the same thing. So keep jank to a minimum. And remember, if you're a Hapu and you're at something like that, you are inadvertently representing our communities to a degree. So, let's see. I'd love to help you with Poimotion stuff. I love that stuff. I'll let you know, because the majority of the Poimotion related stuff that needs to be done is analytical and number based, because the system itself is based off of just pure statistics, at least the automated and some of the manual process. So once I have the rest of the numbers figured out, it's not that big of a problem, then we would have to do the actual promotions. That's when I would ask you for help, because the next promotion wave is going to be a pain in the ass. It's going to be big. It's going to be a big deal. If we do end up promoting multiple legendaries, I do have a short list of names who would get the role, but that's something that's going to have to be kind of cross-checked with leadership before we say heads or tails on anything. Are there any other topics we need to discuss? Because I have to take Faye to work soon. Anybody got anything?
Still didn't remember what I wanted to mention.
So, while we let that float around for a minute, I'm using a new software to help with full body estimation. I saw a couple Hapus use it, so I got curious. It's called Standable for anybody who already knows about it. It was being a bitch for the first hour of me trying to use it, but I think it's sorted out now. I'm gonna be real, this kind of just feels like using Gogo Loco without using Gogo Loco. So I don't know if it's worth the $20, but I'll be real. I mean, holy shit, okay. Maybe I lied. Maybe it's a little better than Gogo Loco, because it's directly proportional to my real body, which Gogo Loco is not that accurate. That's kind of insane. What the fuck? Okay, never mind. I take back anything bad I said. This avatar is not designed to be scaled to my body, but that is literally perfect. What the fuck? Anyway, Standable is really good for me since I have no full body. That's true.
Don't forget, Standable actually does calibrate based on body height and everything.
That's true.
It takes a little bit of time.
I think that's my main problem with VR chat's calibration, is because I'm 6'5" and it only accurately tracks me if it's set to 5'6", which doesn't make any fucking sense. So my proportions are always off. Don't understand that one.
I think your VR chat has dyslexia. I'm sorry to tell you. I think your VR chat has dyslexia.
Potentially.
Dyslexic VR chat.
Dyslexia. Who's to blame? Blaze or VR chat?
I blame VR chat. I fucking... Let's see. I've got about 10 more minutes before I realistically have to go. But if there are any other topics or questions, feel free to bring them up. We'll end it pretty quick. We are going to do the Poicast once every 2 weeks instead of once every week. That's for a few reasons, but to be fair, it doesn't make sense to do these weekly, in my opinion, especially with how our development cycle goes. Generally, it takes about 2 weeks before we have a lot of stuff ready to be discussed in the first place. So that gives me a little less time to worry about what I need to get done and more time to get it done. since the Poicast has always been our main way of telling everybody what's going on with the communities and, development and so on. Closing statements. What else? So I know Abyssal Order's development has been slow. It's going to continue to be slow for a little bit longer. We have a lot of the written documentation finished, at least in terms of the back end. For lore, there's a little bit more that I've gotten done over the past few weeks, but just keep that on the back burner. That's going to be one of those things where until I get more people involved in the project, it's going to just continuously depend on when I have free time to work on it. So it's getting worked on, it's getting done, but I think the next big thing that I'm going to be spending most of my time on will probably be to finally update the worlds. I've been trying to organize my Unity projects so I can properly maintain them without getting frustrated and saying, fuck this. So we'll probably see at least 2 or 3 updates for worlds by the next Poicast. I want to get the main updates done for the PC worlds. It's full of it. Closing statement, peanut butter. Okay. We'll leave it here. Thank you guys for joining me on the Poicast. It's gone on for about an hour and a half so far, which is a decent amount of time.
Substantially time.
But yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Thanks everybody for watching. I should have the Poicast up on YouTube around 8 or 9, depending on how long it takes me to edit. So just assume tonight, because I will get it uploaded this time. Same with the clips. Also, fuck, I was going to bring this up. DaVinci got updated. Motherfucker, DaVinci got... So, listen, I'm going to go crazy. It works now. It fucking works now. They updated to fucking, their newest beta works on the newest fucking hardware that Intel has. So, my CPU was incompatible with DaVinci the entire fucking time I've had it. It would constantly crash. It would never work. I would literally restart DaVinci 60 times in an hour. It would constantly crash every minute. So now that it doesn't crash at all, dude, my last video took me fucking I don't even know how long it took me. That's how long it took. It was barely any time at all comparatively to the other ones, because I'd spend fucking 8 hours just trying to edit 20 minutes. But no, it's so fucking good, dude. I can't express how fucking crazy this makes me feel, because I've been losing my shit over DaVinci not working. So now that it works, now that it's all compatible,
right?
What?
Keep on doing it for an hour, crash every minute.
Dude, it makes me feel insane. It is literally the definition of insanity. I almost switched to Adobe Premiere. It literally, dude, if you were to ask my boss what my biggest problem is in life, they'd probably say DaVinci Resolve. Straight up, that is my biggest complaint, period. And now that it works, dude, oh my fucking god. Anyway, I had to get that out because that's pissed me off since I started working for Massive Loop. And now that it's fixed, you have no fucking idea how happy that makes me. That's, dude, half of my work time has been spent just trying to get the editor to fucking do its goddamn thing. So now I've got a lot more free time in general, which I've been trying to dedicate to the groups and to work. But anyway, that's enough of that tangent. I got myself really hyped up, and now I feel like I could just fucking keep going. So thanks everybody again, and I'll see you guys in the next Poicast or at an event, and same for the rest of you. But let's turn this shit off.
Indeed.
Poi, poi, poi.